Hello and welcome back to Let's Break Super Meat Boy, the all Steve from Minecraft playthrough of Super Meat Boy. And today's kind of an exciting update. We are entering into uncharted territory. I am finally, at least, in some sense of the word, completing the Dark World of Chapter 4 on video. So, by far, some of the most commonly asked questions I get are, when are you going to do Chapter 4 The Rapture in the Dark World? Or when are you going to do Part 2 of Cotton Alley? I don't want to, spoil anything for you or ruin your day, but the answer to those questions is probably fucking never. Those levels are too frustrating and tedious, even for me. Like, beating them once, or I guess twice now, on PC and Xbox was more than enough for me. The idea of practicing them for hours and hours just so I can get a half-decent recording that's still going to take hours and hours of editing just to make it appropriate doesn't really appeal to me. So this might be as close as you're gonna get. Char is actually, this level right here is actually probably the hardest level to do as Steve, just because he's not that fast, and I actually died several times just trying to do this, and I've never been able to do it without building a block for myself to just stand on at the end and wait for the lava to go down. And the levels in the Hell Dark World actually get a lot easier as you go along. The first one is not too bad, but the second and third one, the second one in particular because of the Minecraft moonwalk that ends up happening when you step on the moving platform, and the third one because Steve just doesn't have the speed to do the level that well, are some of the trickiest in the entire game as Steve, actually. This one also very hard. What you have to do is make sure that you're building a block in the exact perfect spot for you to execute a jump. So I'm going to take my sweet time here. And there you go. On the second try, that's actually pretty unusual. That one can take upwards of a dozen tries for me. And these levels, as Steve, are easier than they are as Meat Boy, but don't let this fool you. These levels are still really, really hard. Like, that's the reason you're never going to see a video of them, probably. Or, at least not for a long, long time. These levels take it out of you. Each one could potentially take you, 5 or 10 minutes just to figure out the first time you play through. So you're looking at maybe 45 minutes to an hour per, the Hell Dark World and the Rapture Dark World, which is even worse. Just getting the bandages on these is a pain in the ass, much less getting A+ on them and getting good recordings. Once we enter this kind of zone right here, the Thistle Corridor, for the next, I'd say 5 or 6 levels, things are not too tricky, but still the level of difficulty is above what you would expect at this point in the game. Or maybe not above what you'd expect, but it's above what we've experienced through this point in the game, let's put it that way. For those of you who are actually seeing these levels for the first time, have not unlocked them in their home version, if you're playing along at home, they are as hard as they look. Actually, they are probably harder than they look, and beating them with Meat Boy is probably one of the biggest challenges in the game. People can complain about levels like Omega in the Light World, which is level 5 in the end chapter, but the Dark World, really nothing compares to it. The levels are all atrocious. You never get an easy level like you do in the Light Worlds. Every single one takes at least a few tries, and some of them take upwards of maybe 100 tries. So if you're frustrated by the Light Worlds, you have no fucking idea until you've beaten the Dark World. And I say that as someone who has not beaten the Dark World of Cotton Alley. I've beaten the entire Light World, once again, not on camera, because that is unlikely to ever happen. But, yeah, the Dark World of Cotton Alley, I don't even want to try. I've had my fill of this kind of frustration. Yeah, so this is the section of the Hell World that is actually a lot easier to do with Steve, because you can pretty much bypass all the levels. It's unfortunate that I guess the solutions are basically the same as they were in the Light World, but it's also nice to get a break from the kind of frustration and tedium that's kind of populated my playthrough of this so far. This level actually is quite difficult, and I think I'm very lucky to beat it on my second try. This is another one that might take me, a dozen tries normally. At least 8 tries, let's put it that way. I actually got through relatively neatly there using my my newfound tactic of blocking the fireballs with the Steve's blocks. And again, this is another one that's exceptionally tricky. This is the Dark World version of Boris, which was one of the hardest levels for me in the Light World version of Hell. But here, it actually gets a lot harder because you have to go up instead of going down. So what you want to do is, whenever possible, build some blocks that will block those missile launchers. And that's a tactic that we're going to use in this level as well. Just in order to ensure your safety and that you can't be seen, you're just going to build yourself a little barricade here. Quite similar to Minecraft, actually, how you would build yourself a little house to keep you safe at night. And here we are on the final level. It works pretty much the same as the final level in the Light World when you're playing as Steve. Sorry, the final level in the Hell Light World when you're playing as Steve. But for some reason, I have a real serious problem getting up here, and I just keep building blocks instead of destroying them. What I'm shouting right now in real time is like, break the block on the right side, you inanimate sack of shit. But really, I guess all the blame for this lies with me and me alone. If we could just build it and then get over here, it wouldn't be a problem. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.